Shalom and welcome to Biblical Faith with Sam Peak. We invite you to join us as Sam brings a study in the Torah from the Jewish sages. And now our speaker, Sam Peak.
Shalom Alechem. Peace upon you. Welcome to Biblical Faith. Stay with us a little while. We want to continue in our study that we've been doing for a few programs now on the Aleph Beit, or the Aleph from Aleph to Tav, the Hebrew language, the Hebrew. I'm not going to actually be teaching you Hebrew, but we're going to look at the Hebrew letters as we have been for a while. Now, a few things already we have established, I hope, and that is the idea of the sages of Israel, that the very first thing that was created was the alphabet, the Aleph Tav, so that God could give a vocabulary of thought, in other words, so that he could speak what he was thinking and the universe comes into existence. And the second thing is what did he speak? He spoke the text of the Torah. Actually, the rabbis will tell us as one long sentence he spoke this text, and the world came into existence. It's interesting to me that we have a tradition of, the world to come, and the world to come will be a recreation of what we have. And for Christians, I think it's important to get a hold of that, because this is also presented by the Jews who wrote the New Testament. And they talk about after the Messianic kingdom, after the Messianic age, we have a new heavens and a new earth based on a prophecy of Isaiah. Now, what's very interesting to me about that is the way it's talked about. It says, and the heavens are rolled back like a scroll. Well, to a Jew, immediately this brings to mind a certain thing. We read the scroll of the Torah, and it's on big rollers, and all the year long we are rolling this scroll and reading it, reading the next portion, the next one. But at the end of all of the readings of the year, on a day called Simchat Torah, the rejoicing of the Torah, we actually roll that scroll back. It's rolled completely back. So when the Bible speaks of the heavens being rolled back like a scroll, and then we have new heavens and a new earth, it is kind of suggesting to us, I think, that the Torah will be rolled back just like we do on Simchat Torah, the rejoicing of the Torah, and God will begin to read again the text of the Torah, and this brings to us new heavens and a new earth. It'll be certainly be an interesting time, and we should all be looking forward to it very much. Okay, so we have spent a few programs establishing I hope establishing the importance of why we should even be looking, why we should even be examining the Aleph Beit, or from Aleph to Tav, and I don't want to use the term A to Z. It's really more than that. So let's go from here. We have to, and we are using several different rabbis, by the way, and the work that they have done on it. Rabbi Nosson Sherman, we talked about him before in the great article that he wrote on this, calling the Aleph Tav the protoplasm of creation. And then we are also going to use Rabbi Michael Monk, who wrote an excellent book on this, The Wisdom in the Hebrew Alphabet. Now, if we go to Rabbi Monk's work, what we are going to find that he begins his entire discussion from a page, or not a page, but from a text in the Talmud. And let me tell you where it's at quickly. It's in Shabbat 104a. Shabbat 104a. It is the Talmud's only complete discussion on the Aleph Beit. It's used all the time. Now, we want to go to this passage in the Talmud, and we want to go step by step through what it is saying, to give us just an overview of the Hebrew alphabet, okay? Let me give to you first what he talks about. He says, in this passage in the Talmud, the sages tell how a group of children, kids, and you can put two and two together there also, because we have a beautiful text on, we have a beautiful text on out of the mouths of children, out of the mouths of babies, wisdom comes. And if we look at the text actually in the Hebrew Bible, in the Hebrew Scriptures, it speaks of that this is a protection for Israel. So the Aleph Beit also, and the understanding of the Aleph Beit, of the alphabet, it can be seen in that way, that it is a protection from things, okay? Now, I think the farther we go along, the more that you will see how that can be, because when we begin to study the letters, and by the way, something I didn't mention, to reiterate something very quickly, when God creates the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, He puts in the alphabet itself part of Him. In other words, He is in the alphabet. So the alphabet is going to reveal to us God. And so much more, and how He works, and all of those things. Okay. Rabbi Monk tells us that these children that came and expounded upon the symbolism of the Aleph Beit, they were no ordinary children, nor were their teachings ordinary. He says, according to the Jerusalem Talmud, 2 of those children were named Eliezer and Yehoshua, and they were the ones who would become the major teachers of their generation, the major sages of their generation. They are also the ones who become the mentors, the teachers of a great rabbi in Israel, Rabbi Akiva. Okay? And through him, through Rabbi Akiva and the things that he gave to us, they influenced all future generations of Torah scholars, of Talmudic scholars. Okay. He says, if we look carefully at what they taught here, what these children talked about, it actually gives to us an entire philosophy of life. An entire philosophy of life. And as we get into it, I think you will see that. So the study of the Aleph Tav is not limited just to the creation. It's not limited to just revealing to us God. It actually gives to us a way to live our life. Okay, with all that said and done, let's go to the board and begin this particular study that we find in the Talmud. In the Jerusalem Talmud in Shabbat 104a. Okay, let me find the right kind of chalk I want to use here. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, this will work for the time being. Okay, actually what I'm going to do is just write the letters as we come to them in this passage. And the first 2, they put them in pairs, most of them. And the first 2 are Aleph. Now that's one way to make an Aleph. We may make it other ways also in here. And we have to separate them a little bit. And this is the Beit. Now, my illustrations will not be so grand, I can promise you. And the writing of Hebrew for me is also sometimes not so great. But you'll bear with me. Okay? I'm looking in Rabbi Monk's book, and he is quoting from the Talmud. And he says, well, first we have to begin at the very beginning of it. It says, the rabbis told Rav Yehoshua ben Levi, some children have come to the Beit Midrash, the study hall today, and have said things whose equal was not said even in the days of Yehoshua ben Nun, Joshua, the son of Nun. And they said, okay, Aleph Beit, they put these 2 together. And they said, this stands for, actually in Hebrew, I think I'll just tell you the Hebrew words because I'm not sure all of us are actually understanding writing of Hebrew. So I'll just tell you the Hebrew words. But they stand for Aluf Binah. Aluf Binah actually means this. Learn understanding. And we'll put it here. Maybe we can do this. We have so much information to give, we may not be able to do this on all of them. But learn understanding. Learn understanding. Aluf Binah. Now, Aluf also means, Aluf is like the general of the army. And when we get actually to the character of Aleph, we will get more and more into that, okay? But Aluf Binah, learn understanding. All right. Now, the reason I want you to pay attention to this is because from the study of this passage in the Talmud, as I told you, already we are beginning to see a philosophy of life. Learn understanding. It's important to us. It is the first thing. This is at the very beginning of the Aleph Beit. Something that we must do if we are to continue on in any kind of study of the alphabet, in any kind of study of the Hebrew language. Okay? So first thing we have to bear in mind is that we have a goal, and our goal is to learn understanding. Okay? Let's go back, because if you let me stand there and talk too long, I won't get through with this. The next one, the next 2, and these will be in order as they are, is Gimel Dalet. Gimel Dalet. Gimel Dalet. he says Gimel Dalet, or the Talmud says Gimel Dalet stands for Gimel Dalim. Now Gimel Dalim, what is this? Actually, Gimel is to give. Is part of the idea of kindness, because if you are a kind person, you do what? You give. So actually, and Dalim is the poor. So be kind to the poor is the way they interpret this, the way they look at it. So first we have Aleph Beit, learn understanding. Then Gimel Dalet, be kind to the poor. Now if you'll engage your brain with me for just a minute, this very much is what all of the biblical texts tell us, I hope. Number one, in our relationship with God, in our relationship with Hashem, we begin to build and we grow in our life and we become more and more mature in our walk with Him and in our life with Him, and we begin to learn understanding. But what is one of the things, the very first thing I think, that He wants us to do as individuals to other people? To be kind to the poor. Let's go on. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We have to go back to the board. I'll keep everybody busy today. They ask a question. Why is the foot of the gimel, this is a gimel, why is the foot of the gimel stretched out toward the dalet? I didn't make let me remake this. Sometimes, you just have to put up with me and my pet peeves of things looking halfway right. And my chalk is not cooperating with me, but that'll be okay. Okay, this is the dalet, this is the gimel, this is the dalet. By the way, everyone noticed we did start on the right-hand side of the board. So many times people think, why are you writing backwards? No, this is really the correct way to write, at least the correct way to write Hebrew, from right to left. Okay, they ask a question. Why is the foot of the gimel stretched out toward the dalet? Now remember, this stands for be kind, this stands for the poor, okay? They answer the question because it is proper for those who do kindness to run after the needy. Do you see that? Now, to me, I hope you're being amazed with me that we have all of these little hints in the alphabet itself of how to live your life, okay? Because what should we do if we are wanting to do loving kindness, if we are wanting to please God by being obedient to Him, by being like Him, and to do what is called gemilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness? What should we do? Should we just sit around and wait for someone to fall on us? For a poor person or a charity or whatever it is, for it to fall in our lap? No, we have to pursue it. We have to look for it. We have to run after it. So the foot of the gimel is stretched out toward the poor, okay? And why, he says, is the foot of the dalet on this side, what they're talking about when they say stretched out toward the gimel? Let me read this. Okay. This is the foot of the dalet, but you see it's on this side of the letter. Now, if it was on the other side of the letter, it wouldn't work. But it's on this side of the letter, so it is toward the gimel. Because the poor person, now this is something that we should know, especially if you're a poor person, because the poor person should make himself available to Him. Listen, we could talk here a long time, but we're just going to catch bits and pieces and go on, because I know myself. I know I'll get wrapped up in one of these, and then I won't get the information to you that I'm wanting to. Okay, excuse me. Now they ask, and why is the face of the dalet, this is its face out here, why is it turned away from the gimel? And their answer is because the rich, the gimel, should give to the poor discreetly in order that he not feel ashamed before him. Now, did we get that? Let me read it again. Let's walk here and let me read it again. Why is the face of the dalet turned away from the gimel? Because the rich, those who are able, I'm not even sure we should put rich there, people who are able to help the poor, they should give to the poor discreetly, in a discreet way, in order that the poor person not feel ashamed before him. We have to regard the feelings. Now, I know sometimes we think, they should be grateful to me because I'm doing something for them. If this is our attitude, then we are not doing Gimel dalim. We are not doing giving to the poor. We are not doing kindness to the poor. We have to respect a poor person. Believe me, is still a human being, very, very much so. And to regard them in any other way is not a good thing. Certainly not from the point of view of the sages of Israel. So, in order to do giving to the poor correctly, those of us who give to the poor, excuse me, who do kindness to the poor, should do it in a way in which the poor person is never embarrassed, is never put on the spotlight, is never, in other words, doesn't have to feel any kind of humiliation at all. Okay, now the next set that we have to do, I have to write them. Well, we're doing okay because we are dividing the words, the letters here, with these little marks. But the next one is hey. The first letter is hey, and it is connected to the next letter, or not connected to, but it is paired with the next letter, vav. Okay, hey, vav. Oh, by the way, we can write under here kindness to the poor. Now, when we come to the hey vav, now we know, and we've talked about in here before, the four-letter name of God, the four-letter name of Hashem that we use, that we say Hashem, that we say the name, that we do not try to pronounce this name. It is made up of 4 letters in Hebrew. If we put them into English, it would be YHVH, or in Hebrew, the Yud and the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey. Okay? This name we do not try to pronounce. We do not even begin to try to. And I know I'll get some letters from you, telling me that because the Jews don't try to pronounce this name, or the Jews don't pronounce this name, and that because of this we're not as close to God maybe as we could be or as we should be, and somebody will write me a letter giving me in the letter the correct pronunciation of the name. Well, I'm glad that you know, because the sages of Israel do not know. And for fear that we might mispronounce this name, we do not say it. Because we do not want to take the name of Hashem in vain. That's a very serious thing. And I have my doubts very much, for those of you who will probably write me about this, that you know how to pronounce the name either. And so for fear that you might mispronounce it, don't send me the letter, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Don't write to straighten me out and show me that you know how to pronounce the name. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so the Jews don't, so we just don't put this in. It's actually not that the Jews don't know how to pronounce the name. It has to do with the fear that common people, regular people, not the high priest. This name is only said really one time during the year, and that's if we have a temple standing in the service of Yom Kippur on the Day of Atonement. But that people other than him might mispronounce it or might use it in a vain way, in an empty fashion. And that is terrible, really a terrible sin. Okay, so back to the Hey Vav. When we come to the Hey Vav, the children said this one thing: Hey Vav, this is the name of the Holy One, blessed is He. Now, where they are getting that from is because these two letters are connected, or I don't know when they're not connected, but they're next to each other in the 4-letter name. Okay, so they left this alone. All right, they left these two alone. Now let's go back and get the next one, because the next one is a set. In fact, let's put here the Holy One. Okay, the next one is a set actually of 6 letters, but we will do them in pairs again. Zayin, Chet, then Tet and Yud, and then Kaf. Well, my Kaf is not so swift, but that'll have to be okay. And Lamed. Okay? Now, so what do we have? What does the Talmud tell us about this? Zayin Chet, these two here. Zayin Chet, Tet Yud, Chaf Lamed. If you fulfill the above, the Holy One, blessed is He, will sustain you. And that comes from our Hebrew word zan. So he will sustain you, zan, and that's talking about daily bread. Is what it's talking about, okay? And he will show you favor. This actually, the chet. Now this is an interesting thing in Hebrew that we are going to see. The chet, this particular letter here, actually its name, even its name, is the name in which of the word in Hebrew for sin. Chet is sin. But this letter also is the first letter, excuse me, the first letter for the word grace, for the word grace. So instead of putting sin here, we put grace, because grace is chen, okay? So he will sustain you, and he will show you favor, all right? Then we come to the tet, and this is for tov, and he will do you good. He will do you good. And we come to the yud, and he will give you a heritage. A heritage. An inheritance, in other words. You will become an heir to the promises. Okay? That's what it's talking about. You. Now this is a very, very neat letter, and we have lots of work to do on it in the future, but I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay. He will bind a crown. Now the kaf is for a crown, a keter. He will bind a crown upon you for the world to come. And leolam, the lamed begins, leolam, to the future, to the world to come. For the world to come. Now let's go back over that very quickly, okay? They say, if you fulfill the above. Now what are they talking about when they say, if you fulfill the above? We have to go all the way back over here to where we began, Aleph Beit. Aleph Beit, learn understanding. Learn understanding. And when you learn understanding, kindness to the poor. Okay? Actually, this is actually talking more and more, the learn understanding. The Aluf Binah has to do with our relationship with God and our walk with Him and growing with Him. Okay? Kindness to the poor has to do with the outworking of that very relationship, because God is kind to the poor. I don't care who you are. You're a needy person when it comes to God. We all need Him very, very much. And all of us are very needy people. And we can't exist without Him. Simply put, even those people who think they're existing without Him, they don't. I mean, they exist only by His permission and by His help, by His active help in their life. So kindness to the poor, God is kind to us. We are kind to others, okay? The outworking of the learning of the understanding. What does all this have to do with? It has to do with the Holy One. Blessed is He. Now, if we do all of this, if we put this into action in our life, the Holy One, blessed is He, will sustain us, zan. He will be gracious. He will be grace to us, chen. He will tov. He will be good to us. He will give goodness to us. Yud. He will give us a heritage. He will give us an inheritance. Yerusha. Okay, an inheritance. Then He will crown us, keter. He will crown us with a crown for the world to come, leolam. Wow. All of this just in these few letters? Yes, all of this just in these few letters. To me, it's really and truly something that we are beginning to see, even in the outline, just the basic outline, and we have so much more to go. How many letters have we done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of them. We have 10 more letters to go, and they will continue to add to us tremendous, tremendous things about a philosophy of life, about how we should live our life, about how we should walk with Him. All of these wonderful, beautiful things. I hope really you're enjoying this, and because someone is surely to tell me, well, I don't really understand Hebrew. Well, I'm not really trying to give you a Hebrew lesson. We are just trying to look at these wonderful things that are in the Hebrew alphabet. And what we want to do after we finish this passage in the Talmud, after we completely finish it, and begin the lessons in earnest. We're really still in the introduction of Aleph Tav. We want to take the letters individually, because there are so many things in the individual letters that are going to give us so much information, so much information about God. Of course it will, because He is in the letters. He is in the letters as well as behind the letters. I mean, it's something. And they are going to give us so much information about the biblical text itself. They will be, in fact, Hebrew really will be the key to understanding many, many things in the biblical text that we will see. And it's not that I have it all together, believe me. We're talking about a lifetime and a lifetime and a lifetime and a lifetime on top of a lifetime study of these things. So we're just going to share not so many things with you, just a few things. For the Christian, I hope it will be important to you, because it's going to give you more and more insight into the Hebrew mindset, and it will give you a better level of understanding, I think, a foundational understanding of some things that are going on in the New Testament scriptures that maybe didn't make sense to you before, or that maybe you were seeing in some other way. So we'll do the best that we can. We still have a long way to go in this series, and I hope it will be exciting for you as it is exciting for me. Write me and let me know what you think. I'll do the best I can to answer any questions you might have. I'll do the best I can to incorporate some of the things that you are wanting into the series itself, okay? So join us the next time. I look forward to having you again. And try not to miss, if you can do it, any of these sections, because all of them will be very, very important. Shalom uvracha to you. Peace and a blessing.
Thank you for joining us in our study. If you enjoyed this study and are interested in learning more from the Torah and the sages of Israel, then check us out on the internet at www.bfm101.com, or you may contact us toll-free at 1-800-639-0169. Our mailing address is Biblical Faith, P.O. Box 2, Abilene, Texas 79604. Until next time, we wish you shalom uvracha, peace and a blessing.